Hi folks, how are you doing? Already a couple of results in the fourth round of the Norway chess tournament. In the first game that ended, we saw Veselin Topalov from Bulgaria with white pieces competing with the world champion Magnus Carlsen, the local hero, with black pieces. Let us see what happened in the game. Topalov plays d4 and Magnus once again asks for the Nimzo Indian setup. So that happens, so bishop b4 the Nimzo, but soon it develops into, well, transposes into Queen's Gambit declined lines with d5. Topalov takes, and we have a standard um, Queen's Gambit position. Queen's Gambit declined with the exchange on d5, early exchange. Bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, and here c5 is very standard, counter-attacking the center right away. The way Topalov handles the position is taking on c5. It is probably more common to play e3, and then usually black closes up with c4 with a completely different kind of position. But Topalov just took on c5, inviting black to find a way to recover the pawn. So now Carlsen plays knight bd7, and just saying, for instance, in Tal Memorial 2010, starting with this position, at least that was my database says, Aronian beat Kramnik with white pieces. So knight bd7, absolutely solid, protecting the f6 knight, preparing for the queen to get out in Cambridge Springs defense way. e3, and there it goes, queen a5, putting pressure on both c3 and c5, trying to get the pawn back at least. And well, as I said, very similar to the ideas of the Cambridge Springs defense. When you have the queen early going on to a5, pinning the knight. Now knight d2, once again very similar to that defense. We have some lines on which the knight goes there. Now Carlsen takes on c3, d takes, and the world champion takes on c5. Topalov himself stated during the press conference after the game, taking on c3 wasn't stupid at all for black, because rook c1, black could play queen b4, attacking the bishop, and well, the game goes on. Instead, Carlsen chose to play queen c5, and now rook c1 to protect c3. Black just castles, bishop e2, and queen a3, a very concrete idea, attacking a2, and really challenging white in is he going to defend the pawn or just sacrifice it, as we will see in the game. Defending the pawn, both players agreed that after queen c2, b6, with the idea of playing bishop a6, white has absolutely nothing to play for, not real much chances to have any kind of edge here, so this wasn't very likely to be happen, it seems. And Topalov really goes interesting here. He just castles and gives out the pawn, says, hell, take it. So Magnus Carlsen does that. Black takes a pawn up, but white has the bishop pair and the better development, so that certainly gives him some compensation. Now the interesting point will be to see if either player will succeed in unbalancing the position and having an edge in this interesting game. c4 was played, trying to open up and really make white bishop pair work, take advantage probably of this somehow misplaced queen on a2 and the lack of development of black pieces. Knight e4, very important move for black, and very important for black here not to fall into d takes, because also bishop takes seems tempting, seems a good move, but knight takes c4 has the idea of a very concrete threat of playing rook a1, trapping the queen on a2, which is really misplaced in this position, with all white pieces developed around here, and black really is now white is threatening to play rook a1 and game over. The queen would be falling, but knight e4 is an important move here, centralizing the knight, controlling lots of important squares. So attacking, in fact, the knight on d2. Topalov takes, d takes, and now to keep the pressure, to keep the position uh, slightly unbalanced, and to make his bishop pair work, he went with bishop e7, attacking the rook, e8, bishop d6. Now this bishop is controlling quite some squares. Dark squares are really important here for white now, and it's doing a reasonable amount of job here. But black has not serious problems so far. Knight f6 just keeps developing, preparing to get the bishop out. And don't forget, black is up a pawn, and this is an a passed pawn here. And that's exactly what Magnus is going to be doing in a couple of moves. He's just going to start pushing his pawn and say, well, white, I'm a pawn up. Rook a1, forcing queen b2, and now c5 is played by Topalov. By the way, Topalov could already start repeating moves here with rook b1, etc., but he plays c5. And Carlsen just pushes his passed pawn to a5 already. The rook is behind it, so no problems. And there it goes. He's just challenging more or less white into finding something really interesting, something that gives him an edge. Rook b1, queen a2 was played, and now Topalov goes with the bishop to b5. Now this bishop pair doing some job here, but fortunately for Carlsen, he has a square for the rook to put. An interesting square, in fact, because it's pinning the bishop on d6. Topalov gets out of there with queen c1. Black queen goes back from this somehow dangerous queen side, in which the queen is not really feeling very comfortable. It goes back to queen e6, regrouping. And now some moves were repeated at this point, and the game was a draw after 28 moves. And this threefold repetition. Well, was there any alternative? Let us ask the engine, as I wasn't really able to find that really great ideas here. It comes with no surprise. The engine suggests, for instance, to try to go, after rook f8, for instance, to try to go bishop c4, attacking the queen. Now queen f5, and for instance, rook b5, attacking the pawn on a5. Queen g6, probably the idea to try maybe bishop h3. And if, for instance, queen a3, putting more pressure on a5, the immediate bishop h3, just to say, fails into bishop g3. Now the point, the g2 is protected, the bishop must go back, and well, etc. So white has a slightly better game, but really Topalov respected, it seems, Carlsen just too much, and just took the draw by the repetition. Not having a great tournament so far, as he himself said in the press conference, but let us see how it continues. Thanks for watching.